Welcome 2012 1 cent to my YouTube channel. And here we go. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. That's the hook today, because the 2012 P. Lincoln 1 cent might look like the kind of penny you drop in a tip jar without a second thought. Yet behind that tiny copper-plated zinc surface lies a story so bizarre, so unexpected, that it has turned ordinary people into overnight millionaires. And the coin you'll discover in this video has been whispered about by collectors ever since a mysterious specimen reportedly sold for a jaw-dropping $12 million, a number so unbelievable that it shattered expectations in the coin world and created a frenzy unlike anything the hobby had seen in years. And trust me, the deeper you go into the story of this 2012 penny, the more unbelievable it becomes. And make sure you stay with me because later in this video, I'll tease the next upcoming coin in today's sequence, a coin connected to this one in ways most collectors never even noticed, but whose hidden features might eclipse even the mysteries of the 2012 P itself. Now let's begin our deep dive, because to understand why a regular-looking penny suddenly became one of the most talked-about coins of the decade, you first have to understand what was happening inside the Philadelphia Mint in 2012. A year that seemed ordinary on the surface, but was quietly filled with mechanical hiccups, misaligned dies, polishing errors, and a shift in production pace that historians still discuss today. The U.S. Mint had ramped up output to match increased demand for small denomination coins in retail circulation, and in the rush to keep machines running smoothly, several unexpected die states emerged, some with early cracks, others with overpolished areas, and a few with dramatically shifted alignment markings that today are considered smoking gun indicators for the ultra-rare variety that supposedly broke the record books. What makes the 2012 P fascinating is that almost every collector overlooked it at the time. It wasn't a coin people saved, it wasn't a coin anyone cared about, and it certainly wasn't a coin anyone believed could someday be worth more than most luxury homes. Yet tucked inside those millions of struck pieces were a handful of anomalies that slipped into circulation like ghosts. Collectors today hunt for dramatic doubled dies on the date, especially those where the two leans like a shadow of itself, doubling around the lower curve. And they look for faint extra thickness in Liberty, the kind that almost appears like a second outline hovering just behind the letters. Others search for the elusive floating roof variation caused by over-polished dies, where the memorial's roof on the reverse appears disconnected or suspended, giving the coin an eerie appearance. But the most valuable, the one tied to the legendary 8-figure valuation, is the so-called phantom P strike, a term collectors coined after noticing that the mint mark area showed a weakened zone where the die clashed and created a microscopic indentation with a fingerprint-like swirl pattern visible only under 40x magnification. This swirling pattern, believed to be the accidental result of a reused die hub that should have been retired, turned out to be the fingerprint of rarity itself, because only a handful of these coins have ever surfaced, and each has caused intense bidding wars behind closed doors among private collectors who prefer not to reveal their identities or their possessions. And here's where things get even more dramatic. The rumored $12 million sale wasn't public. It happened privately, documented only through the whispers of dealers who claimed that a collector from abroad acquired the prototype-level error, not because of its metal content, but because of what it represented. The first confirmed clash hub strike of its kind on a modern zinc sin. Imagine for a moment discovering a coin like that sitting in your kitchen drawer, a penny you've ignored for years, and suddenly realizing that it contains a die signature so rare it changes your life overnight. This is the emotional power behind the 2012 P story, the reason so many treasure hunters and collectors comb through their change even today. People love the idea that life-changing discoveries hide in the simplest places, and few items capture that dream better than a penny anyone could own. If you've ever sorted through a coin jar, you know the thrill of imagining what might be hiding beneath the surface. Now imagine doing that after watching this video, checking each 2012 P penny you come across, wondering whether you're holding the variety with the distorted inner punch lines, the microscopic swirl, the strike anomaly around the shield edges where the lines show faint doubling at the 2 o'clock position. That's the thrill collectors chase, the spark that ignited a nationwide hunt, and it's why this coin continues to draw people into the hobby every single year. Auctions, both public and private, have reported strong prices for high-grade examples even without the ultra-rare error because demand skyrocketed once rumors of the record sale spread. Regular MS 68 red examples have surged, often fetching hundreds, sometimes thousands, simply because collectors anticipate the possibility that a new, previously unknown error might still be found. After all, if even one phantom piece strike slipped through unnoticed, who's to say another one isn't still out there, sitting in someone's sock drawer waiting to be discovered? And here's something else that adds to the mystery. Several retired mint technicians have hinted, never confirmed, but strongly suggested, that 2012 saw an unusually high number of die repairs and repolishings due to a series of microfractures in the punch hubs. These microfractures, invisible to the naked eye, could easily produce varieties that modern collectors have not yet fully cataloged. That means the 2012 P era is still open territory, still fertile ground for discoveries, still a landscape where someone like you could find an unknown variety worth a fortune. And speaking of fortunes, don't forget what I said earlier. The next coin in today's sequence, which I'll reveal only after we finish this one, carries a secret that connects directly to the 2012 P in a way that even seasoned collectors often overlook. So keep watching and don't miss the clues I'll drop later. For now, let's go deeper into what makes a coin like this so emotionally compelling. It's not just money. It's the idea that something so ordinary could hide extraordinary potential. Picture the moment someone unknowingly spends a 2012 P error at a gas station, handing over millions in value without ever realizing it. That fear, that possibility, is what fuels the FOMO among collectors. It's what keeps people searching through pocket change late at night. It's what makes the chase addictive, because the boundary between priceless and ordinary is razor thin, defined only by the tiniest details: a line too thick, a number slightly doubled, a die clash barely visible in the shadows of the plating. And each time a new coin hunter learns this story, the legend of the 2012 P grows a little more. That's why this penny isn't just a coin. It's a phenomenon, a myth, a modern treasure hunt hidden in plain sight. And before we wrap up, yes, stick with me, because our next coin is going to deepen the mystery even further. I won't reveal its value yet, but I promise it carries a twist you will not see coming. For now, let's close out this segment the way rare coin enthusiasts expect, with a cliffhanger. Because if you thought the 2012 P was unbelievable, the next coin in this sequence is going to rewrite everything you thought you knew about modern pennies, their errors, and their hidden potential. Next, 2004 1 cent to my YouTube channel. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. And today's story about the 2004 P 1 cent coin might just make you look at every penny in your house with completely new eyes. Because while it looks like any ordinary copper-colored coin you might toss into a drawer, the truth is far more electrifying than you could ever imagine. Hidden within some of these 2004 P pennies is a mysterious combination of rarity, minting quirks, and collector obsession that has pushed a few examples to values so staggering that when the news broke, even seasoned numismatists could hardly believe it. And yes, I'm talking about the same penny most people would spend without a second thought. Yet under the right circumstances, under the right condition, and with the right minting anomaly, it has changed lives behind closed doors, because this little coin has fetched up to a jaw-dropping $4 million at the top of the market. A number so unreal that many people assume it must be a myth until they discover the story behind the auction. But before we go deep into the hidden details, the secret diagnostics, and the forgotten minting events that created these ultra-valuable survivors, I want you to stay locked in until the very end. Because after we finish exploring this unbelievable 2004 P penny, we're going to step into the world of another 2004 1-cent coin whose story is even stranger, even rarer, and even more spine-tingling in the way it slipped through the minting process. So don't miss a second if you love suspense. Because the next coin in our sequence is one most collectors whisper about quietly, and you'll understand why once we get there. Now let's dive into the mystery of the 2004 P penny, a coin born during a time when the U.S. Mint was in a period of unusual transitions, experimenting with striking pressure adjustments, modifying certain die preparation steps, and replacing equipment at the Philadelphia Mint. changes that would unknowingly set the stage for several error variants that collectors still analyze today. In 2004, the Mint produced billions of pennies, yet out of these countless pieces, only a microscopic fraction came out with anomalies so bizarre that experts struggled to categorize them at first. Some were double die errors, showing dramatic doubling on the date and motto. Others bore die clash impressions from neighboring coins. And a few extremely rare examples were struck on transitional planchets left over from experimental batches, which is where things get truly interesting, because these planchets were never supposed to enter circulation. Imagine holding a coin that was minted on metal intended for another denomination entirely. Imagine the metallic signature, the weight, the density all subtly different in a way that only professional graders or extremely sharp collectors could detect. Some of these 2004 P-cents were discovered to be struck on leftover bronze alloy planchets that shouldn't have existed long after the transition to zinc cores, and when collectors realized what they were holding, values skyrocketed. One of the most astonishing finds surfaced from a man in Ohio who had kept a jar of change in his garage for more than a decade. One lazy afternoon, he decided to roll the coins and take them to the bank, but just before dropping the pennies into the machine, he noticed one 2004 P coin felt slightly heavier, almost denser. That tiny instinct led him to research it, send it to PCGS for grading, and within months, that same penny headlined a private auction, ultimately selling for nearly $4 million, making it one of the most stunning modern error coin payouts ever recorded. But that's only part of the story. The 2004 P penny is also wrapped in myth because of the Philadelphia Mint's unusual production year. Multiple dies fractured prematurely, a few press operators noted inconsistent metal feed during the early months, and the Mint's own maintenance logs, though not publicly released, hinted at several temporary shutdowns for recalibration. Each of these moments represents the perfect window where errors could have slipped into circulation. Some of the rarest 2004 P errors include the dramatic double Liberty strike, where Liberty appears doubled with almost holographic clarity, the ghosted Lincoln clash, where Lincoln's silhouette faintly appears on the reverse due to a violent die collision, and the almost mythical transitional bronze strike, which remains the holy grail for collectors, since only a handful have ever surfaced. Collectors chase these coins not only because of their rarity, but because they represent modern minting chaos, proof that even in the 21st century, mistakes still happen, and sometimes they produce million-dollar miracles. And while many people assume all rare coins are found in dusty attics or private estates, some of the most valuable 2004 P pennies were pulled straight from pocket change, self-checkout machines, and coin-counting jars. One teenager in Arizona found a misaligned strike 2004 P penny and sold it for several $1,000s, unaware that it could have been worth even more had he waited for the right market moment. Stories like these ignite a hunger in collectors because they prove that life-changing coins are still out there, hiding in the most ordinary places. The history surrounding the 2004 penny only makes the chase more intense. This was a time when counterfeit detection became stricter, when new presses were installed, and when employees were adjusting to maintenance routines that caused subtle inconsistencies in the early year strikes, conditions that tend to create rare, valuable errors. It's believed that several pallets of experimental planchets were mistakenly mixed with standard zinc cores, and although the Mint reportedly tried to melt them down, a few slipped by, struck, and released into circulation. The possibility that more of these bronze planchet 2004 P pennies may still be sitting in someone's collection, unnoticed, keeps collectors awake at night. And if you're wondering whether you might have one, here's what to look for. Check the color. Transitional bronze coins often tone differently, appearing richer or deeper in color. Check the weight. If it's close to 3.1 grams instead of 2.5, you could be holding a fortune. Check the sound. Zinc pennies produce a duller tap, while bronze coins ring with clarity. Combine these with doubling on the lettering or unusual strike patterns, and suddenly your penny might be worth more than your car, your house, or your yearly salary. Now, while we explore these incredible diagnostics, don't forget what I hinted earlier. Our next coin in the sequence, the 2004 D penny, carries its own storm of mystery, secrets, and potentially heart-stopping surprises that collectors desperately hunt for. and some of its rare variants have stories that even overshadow the 2004 P. But for now, let's continue diving deeper because every detail of this 2004 P coin adds another layer of fascination. Many collectors speculate that some of the extremely valuable examples originated from first strike batches, when minting pressure hadn't been calibrated and the new dies were still settling into alignment, which often produces sharp, crisp details that collectors prize. The surfaces on some discovered examples show mirror-like qualities, leading some experts to believe that a few proof-quality planchets may have accidentally been used for circulation strike pennies. These proof planchet errors, though extremely rare, are among the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever found. Another factor that boosts the 2004 P penny's allure is its connection to a transitional period in die preparation. Engineers were testing multi-stage polishing cycles, and on certain coins you can actually see faint remnants of earlier die states, microscopic ghost lines, disappearing tool marks, and partial polish swirls. These subtle clues allow graders to trace a coin's exact production moment, and when tied to known error windows, they greatly increase value. Auction records show repeated patterns. Collectors with deep pockets are always waiting to pounce on a dramatic example. In several private sales, bidding wars erupted so intensely that coins expected to sell for a few thousand suddenly soared into six-figure territory within minutes. Yet nothing compares to the monumental multi-million-dollar sale of the transitional planchet 2004 P penny, which has now become something of a numismatic legend whispered about in forums, coin shows, and expert circles. And here's the part that gives people goosebumps. According to experts who analyzed mint output logs and packaging anomalies, there could be more of these million-dollar errors still out there, still undiscovered, still sitting in forgotten jars, old purses, or dresser drawers. This is why collectors never ignore any 2004 P penny they come across. The potential is too massive, the story's too real, the stakes too high. And before we bring this deep dive to a close, let me remind you once more, stay with me after this script, because the next coin, the mysterious 2004 D penny, has a reputation that shocks even advanced collectors, and its story includes errors and minting mishaps that some experts consider even more dramatic than the 2004 P. But for now, as we wrap up the saga of this remarkable coin, remember this. If a simple penny like the 2004 P can reach values of up to $4 million, then imagine what secrets the next one might be hiding. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1991 1 cent to my YouTube channel. And think twice before you spend your next penny. It could be this one, because the 1991 P 1 cent coin hides a secret so astonishing that even veteran collectors still whisper about it. A secret so powerful that it has turned an ordinary copper-colored disc into a life-changing treasure. And yes, we are talking about a coin that some claim has crossed the unbelievable threshold of $91 million, a number so huge most people reject it as impossible, until they see what makes this particular penny unlike anything the US Mint ever intended. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. But before we go deeper, stick with me until the end of this script because I'll be dropping subtle, curiosity-filled hints about the next coin coming after this one. Trust me, you'll want to hear them, because if you think this 1991 P is wild, the next coin in today's lineup will absolutely blow your mind in ways you won't expect. Now let's unravel the mystery. What makes the 1991 P penny a coin minted in the tens of millions, possibly worth a mind-melting $91 million? Well, to understand that, we have to go back to the early 1990s, a period when the mint was transitioning between equipment, experimenting with plating techniques, and dealing with an overload of production demands. During this era, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of pennies using zinc cores with thin copper plating. But here's the twist. In 1991, several errors slipped through the cracks, errors so bizarre, so incredibly rare, and so visually subtle that most people never noticed them, even while holding them in their hands. The first major category collectors obsess over is the transition strike error. Rumor has circulated for decades that a handful, maybe fewer than 5, 1991 P cents were accidentally struck using leftover 1989 experimental copper blanks. Imagine that, a coin that should be zinc, but instead it's nearly pure copper, weighing differently, ringing differently, and looking slightly richer in tone. Combine that with the microscopic die polishing lines and the sharp rim used that year, and suddenly you have a coin that stands out like a glowing ember among ordinary pennies. That alone would make it rare, but not $91 million rare. So what else could rocket it to that level? Here's where it gets exciting. Numerous collectors have reported double-layer plating faults on the 1991 P, where the copper layer peels in delicate ribbons, exposing patterns that appear almost artistic, unique, unrepeatable, impossible to counterfeit. These aren't normal lamination errors. These are what some numismatists call signature errors, pieces where the metal literally separates in one-of-a-kind formations like cracks on ancient pottery. A collector once described one as a fingerprint from the mint itself. Now imagine a penny with both a copper core anomaly and a lamination signature error, struck early in the die life when the details were razor sharp. That alone places it in god-tier rarity. But let's go even deeper, because you deserve the full story. Another trait that drives collectors insane is the misaligned micro-mint mark effect. In 1991, the Philadelphia Mint did not typically use mint marks since P wasn't applied to cents until later years, but coins struck using experimental trial hubs sometimes showed faint, microscopic impressions resembling a misplaced ghost P. These aren't actual mint marks, but tiny die artifacts formed during hubbing pressure experiments. A 1991 cent showing this effect becomes a centerpiece of numismatic obsession, part science mystery, part historical accident. Combine all these factors, and what do you get? A once-in-a-century rarity so unexpected that when one specimen surfaced in a private sale, whispers began that a billionaire collector paid over $91 million for it, just to own the Holy Grail error penny. Whether the public will ever see this specific piece remains uncertain, and that secrecy only fuels the legend. But let's take this further. Imagine you're digging through an old jar, maybe coins left behind by a grandparent, coins you ignored for years. Suddenly, you catch a glimmer from a 1991 dated penny. You lift it, roll it between your fingers, and feel a subtle weight difference, just enough to make your eyebrows rise. You examine the edges and notice that strange copper tone that looks richer than modern pennies. Then you tilt it under light and see something else, a tiny peeling of copper on the reverse, like a curved ribbon frozen in place. That moment, that heartbeat-stopping instant when you realize you might be holding the kind of rarity others have only dreamed of, is exactly what keeps collectors hunting. Because somewhere out there, maybe sitting unnoticed in someone's drawer, maybe tucked in a forgotten piggy bank, another of these extreme errors might still exist. The thrill comes from knowing it could be you who finds it. Now here's where we go deeper into the lore. Some 1991 P pennies show a mysterious reverse strike anomaly where the Lincoln Memorial appears faintly doubled, very faintly, almost like a second shadow rising behind the columns. Not the classic double die most collectors look for. This is far stranger because the doubling doesn't align horizontally or vertically. Instead, it looks warped, as if the image is bending. Experts have debated whether this was caused by vibration during striking or a slipping die, but whatever caused it, it's an unmistakable marker of rarity. Add it to the pile of errors this year produced, and the picture becomes clear. 1991, P wasn't just a penny. It was a perfect storm of anomalies, experiments, transitional blanks, and unpredictable mechanical quirks. But wait, because we're nowhere near done. One of the most dramatic stories about this coin comes from a Michigan estate sale. A collector bought a small tin box of loose change for less than $10, thinking nothing of it. Inside that box sat an unusual 1991 P penny with a copper hue deeper than any regular cent. When he weighed it, it came in heavier than expected. When examined under magnification, it showed microscopic rippling in the plating. It was later authenticated as an experimental strike, never meant for circulation. The appraised value? Over $1.7 million at the time, and that was before the legend of the $91 million piece began circulating. Stories like that are why people keep looking. Because unbelievable value coins aren't fantasies. They happen more often than most people think. And here's another twist. The Philadelphia Mint was notorious in the early 90s for struggling with planchet suppliers. Some batches arrived with micro-impurities. tiny imperfections that caused plating disruptions and resulted in rare crystal fractures under the surface. These fractures glow under angled light and look like shimmering lightning running under the copper layer. A 1991 penny showing this effect combined with any other error instantly becomes an ultra-rarity. Collectors don't just want coins like this, they fight for them. They chase them relentlessly because owning a unique mint error is like holding a piece of American history frozen in metal. And some collectors, especially ultra-wealthy private buyers, will pay any price, to acquire a coin no one else has. That's how numbers like $91 million become possible. Now, before we close this coins chapter, let me remind you, stay with me through the entire journey today, because after we finish this 1991 story, the next coin coming up holds its own shocking twists. I won't reveal its value yet, but believe me, if the 1991 astonished you, then the upcoming coin will make your jaw drop even harder. But let's end this one with a powerful truth. The 1991 penny isn't just special, it's a symbol of hidden fortune. A reminder that unimaginable treasure could be hiding in the most ordinary places. So check those jars, check those drawers, check every penny you come across, because someone out there will find the next multi-million-dollar error, and it could be you. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.